Welcome back, America. A couple years ago, I got a chance to go down to Texas for a couple speaking engagements. I was in the crowd for one of these events, and our next guest spoke. He wowed them with his common sense and also his extraordinary command of border policy. Joining us right now from the great state of Texas, Congressman Randy Weber. Congressman, great to have you back on the show.
Great to be here. Thank you all.
All right, let's start off. We just had a great conversation with the Border Patrol Agents Union. They're excited. They know a new sheriff is in town. How important is it that the border will be going and all the illegal immigration will be going in reverse pretty soon? What does it mean for the people in Texas who suffered so much?
Well, it's extremely important, John. It's a great question. And one thing I didn't mention, I was also on the Public Education Committee for all 4 years.
Wow.
And I was in the legislature. My beautiful bride of 48 years. I taught fourth grade 27 years. So I breathed, ate, slept education, public education. Why do I say that? Kindergarten through 12. 300,000 illegals came across the Texas border last year in 1 month. If 20% of them were in kindergarten through 12th grade age, that's 60,000 kids. Somebody has to pay to educate. Guess who that somebody is? Yeah. It's the American people. And then fast forward that, John, over to the healthcare situation where they go to these clinics, these county hospital emergency rooms they can't afford to pay. Our great medical personnel are going to take care of them. They're going to have to get paid for their services. The building has to be financed. So medical care is going to go up. Again, guess who's going to pay that? It's Americans. We cannot afford to be the charity for the world.
Yeah,
that's right. And I think that's why President Trump was so successful with the America First agenda. We want to help other countries, but we have to put our people first. Congressman, I want to ask you about some of the outside of the box ideas I've heard floating around from Republicans about how you can actually pay for deportation operations, especially for these terrorists, the ones that they need to prioritize. And one of the ideas I heard was taxing maybe to a greater degree, Western Union transfers, international transfers from people here to other areas of the globe. Do you think that that's something that would be viable?
Well, that's something that's been bannered around ever since I was even in the Texas legislature. I have confidence in President Trump. He's going to come up with the process. I have to believe, and I think y'all probably will agree, that there's a new sheriff in town, as was said. And so you're already seeing some of these nations across the world, because America has lost its standing as a power under, I call him President O'Biden, because I think he's Obama's third term. And with Trump back in the White House, you're going to see him come up with ways to make, for example, immigrants remain in Mexico, stop catch and release, and actually start deporting some of these. You're hearing some of these Democrat mayors. I know y'all are paying attention, and we appreciate Real America's Voice for what y'all do, getting the word out. You're hearing some of these Democrat mayors say that they would actually fight the federal government if they tried to deport illegals that were in their area. And think about poor Laken Riley. It cost her life. And think about all of the illegals that are here. There's been multiple young women killed, raped and killed. And I'm like, Trump will come up with that policy that will absolutely put the halt on this.
Yeah, so important. Do you think Congress would have the will to strip some federal funding if a city or a state decided to keep sanctuary status and refuse to cooperate with the federal government?
I sure hope so, John. I actually tweeted that out. Let's take away their money and let all federal benefits. Of course, Texas, as you know, is a extremely conservative state, and so we get it. Even when I was in the Texas legislature, we spent $200 million a session trying to secure the border. And so all of a sudden, Greg Abbott, as you know, came up with the brilliant idea to start exporting some of those illegals. So all of a sudden, some of these mayors start crying. They cried for a while. They wanted more federal money, billions of dollars, New York, for example. And now that Trump's coming back into office and saying, we're going to fix this problem, we're going to deport those who are dragged on the economy, as I laid out, in health and also in education. Now he's back in office to do that. And they're going, oh, we will obstruct you every way we can. You can't make this stuff up.
You can't. It's crazy.
Yeah,
just crazy.
Absolutely. Congressman, we are already seeing predictably acrimony between Border Czar Tom Homan and people like Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. Tom Homan saying we're going to get the criminals out, which I don't know why anybody would be opposed to that. And then J.B. Pritzker saying we're going to protect our people. When it comes to extracting the criminals out of communities, on one hand, you would think that because this could potentially blow up and be a PR crisis for the Trump administration, you got to do it with surgical precision. On the other hand, mainstream media is going to criticize him anyway, so why not just go in like gangbusters and remove the worst of the worst?
Well, that's an interesting word you use, gangbusters, because the gang is there. You're seeing gangs in Colorado. You're seeing gangs all over the place. And that's exactly what the federal government needs to do. And look, the Constitution is very explicit. Power is left to the states, the 10th Amendment, but the federal government does have a role to play in immigration and naturalization. Read your Constitution, is up to Congress. We go in there, we set those rules, we set those laws, and I don't care. It's not that I don't care. These states who apparently don't care about their own citizens watching young girls get raped, assaulted, murdered, because they don't care. I think we have the right to go in there and remove the gang, if you want to use that word, the criminals, the criminal element.
Yeah, that's going to be a big moment should that happen. So I want to talk a little bit about the neighbor to the south. In the past, when we had to implement Remain in Mexico, it worked pretty well. The Mexican government was pretty cooperative. They've been a little more tough sounding and uncooperative sounding with their new president. Do you think that changes with President Trump, or are they going to need a little extra persuasion from Congress?
I think extra persuasion. Chairman McCall had a committee. We went down there on a Codel to Mexico. I went with him, and I speak a little Spanish. And of course, I'm good friends with Chairman McCall. We actually met the two women running to make history in Mexico, the first female president of Mexican history. And sadly, we think the one that got elected was a little less conservative than the other one. So I'm quite sure there's going to need some more. We're going to need some more power down there, some more persuasive policies, so that they can get on track with this. And I think Trump. You probably know this. When Trump says something, he means it.
He does.
And I think they'll learn that the hard way.
They probably are going to
right.
learn that the hard way.
Right. Congressman, Democrats for many election cycles have been saying, we're going to make inroads in Texas. Pretty soon, we're going to turn it purple and maybe even blue. However, in this election, New York came closer to turning red than Texas came to turning blue. To what do you attribute that?
Well, I think people around Texas has been a very, very conservative state for a long, long time. I got involved when Ronald Reagan ran for re-election in '83. I got involved in the Republican Party. I've watched this, paid attention. City council. I've been really involved with. I've been a precinct chair, election clerk, election judge. I've held elections, so I've watched Texas for a long time. I've watched these other states. I think people are waking up. Thanks to y'all and news outlets like y'all, they're finally getting to see what a blight, what a scourge this illegal immigration is on our country. It's got to be legal. It's got to be done the right way. They've got to remain in their own countries. If they want to check for asylum or ask for asylum, they've got to go through that process before they get here, because all that they've done under Biden and Obama is to open up the border and say, come one, come all, criminals and all. I could tell you about the special interest aliens. Those are ones that are from countries like Iran, Afghanistan, Yemen. I can go right down the list and tell you that we've got probably 50,000 of those special interest aliens have been handled. If we missed 10% of those, that's 5,000 potential terrorists could be in our country. I think people around the nation are waking up and saying, you know what? This liberal idea about come one, come all is not a good thing, because Americans are getting killed. I think they're catching on. I really do.
They are indeed. And I think they also count on why people in Texas love you so much, Congressman. Common sense always whenever you talk. Great to have you on the show today. What a great honor.
Well, we appreciate y'all for what y'all do.
Thank you, sir. You as well. All right, folks. What a great interview. We're going to take a closer look at